Welcome everyone. I hope you guys are doing good. This is me, Abubakar Dalawar. Welcome you all to a latest episode of Founders Kahani. So today's episode is very special and it's very close to my heart because I'm gonna interview someone whose story is has really inspired me, and I think a lot of people like me who are basically graduated from public universities in Pakistan and has bigger dreams, has the dreams to conquer the world, but they seems like they can't do it. They haven't graduated from a foreign university, or they haven't doing this. They haven't done this till now. People usually think like when you are graduate, it's too late to pivot and it's too late to basically do something unexceptional, right? Something exceptional. So today, the founder is really amazing. She is from a public university from Lahore, from Pakistan, and now she is conquering the world with her new venture. So please welcome Maheen. How are you, Maheen?
Mehreen, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you, Abubakar.
So it's been I've been looking in your profile and you've been amazing. So I already know your kahani. So if I wanted to ask you that about for our listeners, that what is your kahani?
What is my kahani? There is no kahani. It's a kahani of working very hard and pivoting in every vertical of my life. So of course I was born and brought up in Pakistan. I'm a Lahori by heart. I got married and moved to UAE. I used to work at Standard Chartered in Pakistan when I got married. And when I moved to Dubai, I was going to look at my banking career, but then, there was a recession in 2007. Banking was, crumbling at that time. So I took some time off and I said, okay, let's pivot. I did a few other corporate roles, but then I decided, you know what, let me give a shot to creating my own business. I have a co-founder. She's also a female. She's from Palestine. She's Palestinian American, and we just started a business. Actually, before SupperClub, we had another business. It was a mobile app where we wanted everything to be perfect and we did not do an MVP kind of a scenario. We wanted it to be perfect. We hired top-notch people. We put in a lot of money, but very quickly realized it's going to be very operationally cost heavy and we had to shelf it. And it was a very tough position and tough point in my life because of course, it was self-funded. But then we launched Supper Club and we did everything the opposite way of the way we launched our first business. So we even now work in a very lean manner. And our one of our lines that we say at Supper Club is, we jump off a cliff and then then we open our parachute. And that's what we've done. We learned a lot from our first business. And I think the kahani, usually people get a little sad or they get a little, not motivated if they suffer a failure. So for me, it's always been fail well is a line that I tell my team constantly. And what that means is everybody in every part of your life, there will be some failures that you're going to, encounter. If you fail well, you will learn from your failures. And the second time when you start doing that, you're not starting from scratch, you're starting from experience. So that is what we did with Supper Club. When we started our second business, we knew the loopholes, we knew what we had not done correctly in the first business. And we said, you know what, let's give it our all. And Alhamdulillah, it's going to be 5 years in November. And now we are in 9 countries with Supper Club. We started from Dubai, and now we even in South Africa, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, Saudi. It's been a journey and a half, and long way to go.
That's really amazing. That's really amazing. So, like the thing that you told me basically, like always fail well, and that's, I think that's the key learning for every founder you should learn. So I'm an early stage founder as well, and there are a lot of my friends from around the world, not just from Pakistan, who are also like startup founders at very young age. They started startup in their universities, but like most of the startups that are started in the university, even they got a lot of opportunities, still they fail at some point, right? Because of lack of experience or lack of things. But then I have seen this in the founders and in myself as well. When you are like starting second time, then you feel scared. So how you build that resilience in yourself?
So that's a really good question. So you just have to believe in your idea, and you need to remember all the things that did not work out in your first startup or in your first business. So, just to elaborate, the first business, we wanted to make sure that the site is perfect. We had a mobile app, we had about 50 odd vendors, we hired top-notch, very, very experienced employees. Um, it cost a lot of money. It didn't work out. We didn't have an MVP. We didn't have a minimum viable product. We wanted to make sure everything was perfect. But when we started Supper Club, we said, you know what? Nothing is perfect. Even our perfect product wasn't perfect. We had to shelf it. Right. So when we started Supper Club, we just launched with bare basics. We said, okay, you know what? We're going to have a basic website. We're going to try and get some clients on board and test the model. And that is exactly what we did. We had a very, very simple landing page, but we knew what we wanted in the market. I wanted to create something that I would use. That's the other thing. So when you're building something, it's a very cliche when people say, oh, there was a gap in the market and I filled that gap. Fantastic. But are you going to use that product? So for me, Supper Club essentially it's a luxury dining and lifestyle membership platform, which gives you discounts at five-star places, at places that I would want to go eat. And the best part is there's no redemption process. So there are a lot of discount platforms in the market, but what were they missing? They were missing one fact that there was nothing niche for this particular vertical. Second thing was there's always redemption. You had to put in a code, you had to put in a voucher, you had to show something, you had to pay with a card. I mean, it doesn't sound a lot, but it gets awkward and it gets like, oh my God, what if the server comes and tells me, nahi, not today. You know, I don't want to do, it's not applicable today. So I said, I want to create something that is seamless, that is easy. It's not a brand new idea. It's not something that I invented, something that's not already in the market, but I invented something that people would resonate to, that people and forget people that I would use. And I use Supper Club consistently. I'm not using it only because I'm one of the founders. I'm using it because I love the fact that it's easy and it's seamless and it's just now become part of my life. That is what we wanted to do. We wanted to create something that would become part of your life, my life, easy to use, has no limitations because nobody likes anything like, okay, you can only use it on particular days or you can only use it for a particular number of people. And that is what we did, believe in the idea, make something that resonates with the public and work hard. You will eventually get there.
That's so true. I think today's this podcast is all about like I'm taking advices from you and telling you all my insecurities about this. So you told me like this is like there is no perfect product, right? And most people basically struggles is like they wait for the perfect product to come. So like this is one of the problem with Gen Z as well. So it's like judgment problem. So when you have not a perfect product or something like a weird website even that you made in your like at 2 o'clock at the night, and then you feel ashamed of that product. So that's why you always feel ashamed in pitching them, and you then never started.
So I think ashamed is a very, very strong word. I don't think anyone should be ashamed of anything, first of all. Um, So for me, even though our site was initially very basic, I never had that feeling. I was never like, yes, I was um, a little less confident, I would say, of showing the site, but our concept was so strong that that overcame that. So anybody who, I mean, it can be a product, it could be a physical product, or it could be a digital product, or it could be a podcast, or it could be anything. You just, in my opinion, you just keep going. And of course, you make it better. So you can't be like, I'm going to be super successful and I'm just going to keep version one of whatever my product is. I think that is also important. I think for a business like us, because we are customer facing and corporate facing at the same time, so we have a B2C angle and a B2B angle. It was very important and still is. Take feedback from our members, take feedback from our clients. Okay, this is something that is working, this is something that is not working. How do we take critique? I think that is also important, because if you take everything personally, then you will lack that confidence. If you say, okay, you know what, I have a product or I have a problem, say, for example, there's a problem in your product, there is a solution. Instead of sitting and thinking, oh my God, my product, it's not good enough. I don't think I'm going to get funding or I'm not going to get clients. There's a solution. Work on it. Go back to the drawing board. Put down all the pros and cons and see how your product, digital or not digital, can be improved. I think it's also important to surround yourself with people who bring that positive energy to you. So not someone who's constantly praising you. So I mean, you don't want someone, you want a cheerleading squad, but you also want someone who can actually critique you, can you actually trust their judgment. I think that is very important. Not take things personally, just constantly looking at improving your product, yourself, your business, your idea, because it all has to evolve.
That's so true. That's so true. Even like, when we started our incubation process, so first thing that basically somebody told me that do not love your product that much that every critic that comes to your product you'll take personally, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I 100%,
Yeah.
100%.
So, Mehreen, so you are basically from more of a finance background in the bank. You work in the banking sector, and
Yeah.
now your startup is basically in the hospitality sector. So, how these two worlds collided?
So I always liked to eat out, and before Supper Club, and my last job as an employee was actually in a company called Groupon. It is a global giant, and I started working there in UAE, and that's what initially got me into this non-finance category of of a role. By the time I left Groupon, I was head of sales for UAE, and I definitely knew that I wanted to do something in that particular category. And I'm Pakistani. We all love to eat. We all love to go out. We all love a good discount as well. Like if you're getting a discount and if you're getting it in a sophisticated manner where the table next to you doesn't really need to know, there's no redemption. I mean, that's the ultimate goal, right? You're going to your favorite places and you're saving money, and you're doing it all discreetly. So that's what Supper Club is about.
Yeah, that's a very smart way to do business. Like, if you want something, you just create it. You do not wait for anybody to basically come up with this idea. You just create it. That's the motivation that people need, actually.
Thank
So,
you.
how did your finance background help you out in building Supper Club or in your founder journey?
No, no, absolutely. So, when you are working in corporates, I think it's very KPI driven,
Yeah.
right? It's very, you have X number of targets and you have to meet them. And, that a corporate job in any industry, I think, is very KPI driven. And I think I did bring that into my role as a founder at Supper Club. And when we started, it was just Mona and myself. So we had everything divided around these are your KPIs, these are my KPIs. And now that we have a team across different countries, all roles are KPI driven. So even if someone who's not on a sales or a client fronting role, they have their their KPIs. So they have their targets. We have targets which are sales driven, and then there are targets which are not sales driven. It could be for our customer service related, but that I think has really helped me. My corporate role, I think, has really helped me streamline how I take Supper Club from a startup to not now what we are at, which is called growth stage. Considering we're in 9 countries and we have employees across different markets, it has helped me for sure. And I think anybody who's coming from a corporate background will understand that. And there's a flip side to it as well. When you're working in corporates, everything is very like has to be done at a particular time. With Supper Club, we are very member driven. So, say for example, start of the year, if we are thinking we are prioritizing 3 verticals, and by the end of quarter 1 or quarter 2, we don't see this happening the way we had planned it, we very quickly switch. In a corporate environment, it has to go one level up, then it has to go to the general manager, then it has to go to the country head. With us, because we still operate as a start in a startup manner, we make decisions and we pivot very, very quickly. So if something's not working, we do our market research, we go to our members, and we look at how they're responding. And if it's not the way we had initially envisioned, we pivot. We don't wait for it to, go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, exactly. Pivot is very important. And
Exactly.
like let's dive deep into some of like how basically the business works and the startup works. So I wanted to ask you, like a lot of people from around the world, they are now interested in the GCC market, especially into the Saudi market. So you are a Pakistani and you started your startup in the GCC. So what are basically, the go-to-market strategies that you have implemented and you have observed into the
So, so uh, you know, I've been in Dubai for about, it's going to be 18 years now. So for me, Dubai is second home, right? So I would always say that Dubai is a market that's very, very tough, but at the same time, it's always ripe for the right business setup. I think at the moment, KSA is another market, which is Saudi is growing at leaps and bounds. So I think that is something that is a market that everyone should be looking at. Um, Again, coming back to UAE, we launched just before COVID, and everybody was like, hospitality is dead. This is the wrong time that you're launching. But the way UAE again pivoted, they had systems in place. Um, yeah, it bounced back very, very quickly. If you compare it to the other markets in the world, like Dubai, I think did extremely well. Even in times of recession, there's always a plan B and a plan C and a plan D with a market like UAE. So that is in my opinion, if you're looking to launch in GCC, Dubai has to be on your plate. And of course, now Saudi Arabia, with so much investment coming in from Saudi into Saudi as well. These 2 markets, especially for a company like us, is extremely, extremely important. Because we cater to not only the luxury market, we also cater to the ultra high net worth. So for a product like Supper Club, which is luxury dining and lifestyle, these markets are extremely important. But having said that, for anyone launching in other different markets as well, Dubai is such a cosmopolitan place, and now Saudi is following suit that you want to be there. And do not disregard these markets at all, is my opinion.
yeah. And what challenges they should keep in their mind before moving to the Saudi or Dubai?
So of course, I mean, your typical things, you need to make sure that you have the correct license. So say in UAE, you have to make sure that you're following regulations. You need to make sure that you have a proper trade license. Visas are in check. You have your bank account sorted. A lot of people, when they start up, I think they feel like, oh, you know what, I'm just going to test the waters. Let me just have, the cheapest license possible, and let me try and get money into my personal account. But that is a no-go. So for us, when we started, we wanted to make sure at any given time we always follow regulations. You need to have a proper trade license that matches what you're doing. It's not just a random freelancer license, right? It has to be in whichever industry you're working in. Make sure that you have the correct license, you follow regulations, because you never know where things might change, and you always want to be on the right side of the track. You don't want to ever want to be doing something that is in the gray. So that's those are my suggestions: that licensing, bank license, trade license, and all your visas should always make sure that are in place correctly.
So, as a female founder, what challenges you have faced, and what advice are you gonna give specifically to the women startup founder?
I, you know, you know, I I personally have not faced any challenges. It is difficult, yes. I think, but it's difficult for everyone who's starting a business. I think the challenge that you face is, so I'm married, I've got 3 kids, and I think the challenge that you face is more at times, or at least with me, has been more internal rather than external. So all the clients that I meet, or all the stakeholders that I deal with, they've always been, I've never felt that they are not treating me as treat someone who's a male. If I was a male CEO, if I was a male founder, they treat that person differently. I haven't felt that. I think the challenges is where you balance your work-life balance. That for me has been challenging, where I need to make sure that that balance is there. Oh, I try to keep the balance. Unfortunately, it does not happen. Simply because when you're building a business in multiple countries, you're constantly working. So for me, that has been a challenge on a personal front. But on a professional front, I don't think I've not faced anything. And my advice would be, you know what? For females, don't think that people are going to treat you differently. Go out there, be confident. If you know your product, if you know your business, and if you talk on merit, people will give you that respect, and people will give you the business if your product is and your business is worthy of it. I think sometimes females fall into this trap where they think, oh my God, you know what, I did not get this business because I'm female, or I did not get that meeting because I'm female. But in a market like UAE, I've not felt that at all, at all. So I businesses that I have gotten, contracts that I've gotten have been on merit. Sometimes, of course, you don't win a business, but then that's the time that you go back and you reflect, and then you see again the pivot happens. Okay, I did not get this contract. I did not get this mandate. Why? What could we have done differently? And it's not a gender-based decision, it's a business-based decision. And then you critique not the fact that you're female, but you critique what can be different in your business. So yeah, that's my personal advice.
That's so true. So if we are talking about keeping the balance between, so you've been working in the corporate world from quite some time, and
Yeah.
corporate world is always like like what to do and what are the KPIs and how to fulfill that. But when you are doing a startup and there is an open ground, right? There is no KPI, there is nothing. You have to decide everything on your own. So what do you have done to set KPIs for your own self?
So, of course, ROI is important. I think the KPIs that we kept in the first couple of years was very different to the KPIs that we have now. So, first couple of years was test the market. It wasn't financial driven. The KPIs were test the market, get X number of members on the platform, X number of clients on the platform, see if it resonates with them. I think initially that was our KPIs. Now, of course, Our KPIs, being almost 5 years into the business, are different. And there are financial KPIs that we keep. There are targets that the team has to meet. And then there's soft targets like X number of vendors, like hotels, etc., that need to be onboarded within a certain period of time. And one of the biggest things, which is not finance driven, is our member satisfaction. So for us, we are a very we're a membership platform. Yes, we have our corporate clients. Yes, we have our hospitality clients. But for us, our biggest stakeholders are our members. So our KPIs, my customer service division's KPIs are member satisfaction. Okay, we're going to ask every single member who makes a booking through SupperClub. That is something that is our KPI for us. How was the experience? What can we improve? Even if when someone says, everything was fantastic, we still go back and say, we're not happy with that. We still go back and say, okay, it was fantastic. But if you had a magic wand, what would you change? So this is a term that I use very often within the team. If you had a magic wand, what would you make? What would you do differently? And I think every founder, every business should actually have those conversations, because sometimes when you're running your day-to-day business, you can get stuck. The same thing, the same thing. Okay, I'm going to improve this. I'm going to improve this. But sometimes you need to step back and you need to say, okay, you know what? I need to be critical. I need to see where I can pivot and what I can do better. And again, you'll see this is a regular theme in everything that I say. For us, customer satisfaction and pivoting, even at a very small level, is extremely important to make SupperClub successful.
That's really amazing. I guess this is the need to basically set the KPI that you step back and be critical for your own self and be realistic at least for once for your with your
Correct.
right?
Correct. But so for us, the other things are like our strategic pillars. What are our strategic pillars? Member retention. So yes, if someone's happy, they will come back and renew with us. Venue partnerships. Okay, we have 200 venues. How do we keep them on board as well? Right. And of course, economics, how much, in terms of finance, and how much revenue we're making, how much profit we're making. So those are there, but the soft KPIs are something for us that are as important as the financial ones.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Basically, as we were talking earlier, and also like I have seen in your profile that your startup is basically self-funded. That's another challenge for the startup founders at very early stage. Like they keep on waiting for basically a big investor to come on, and that basically takes years to come, and then your passion also go diluted, and other things happen as well. So how did you self-funded the startup, and how did you basically strategize your personal finances with like financing your startup?
So self-funded basically means you put in your own money. So
Yeah.
that is what I did. Um, and of course, when you're putting in your own money, you have to be so careful, because especially for us, because we had a business before this and it didn't really work out, so it was really extra difficult for us to again put funds into another business. But we truly believed in it. We made sure, and we still do. So even as of right now, we don't have an investor. It's completely self-funded. We operate in a very, very, very lean manner. What that means is, we hire the right people, and we're very cost effective in terms of extra spending. So, some companies, some startups, they like, they spend X amount of marketing, or they spend X amount of operations, etc. So we basically do whatever is the necessity, till we get to a stage where we think, okay, you know what, we can actually put X dollars or X dirhams or Pakistani rupees in a particular segment. So for us, it's not any different from when we started. So it's not like, okay, when we started, every dirham mattered and now it doesn't. It still does. So, we have our monthly reviews. in terms of where the funds are being used, how we're using it. And we always end up putting funds in where we actually see either growth or new contracts that are coming in. So for us, it's different as opposed to if it was a product-driven project, because when it's products, you actually need to buy the products. For
Right.
us, it's because it's a digital platform and we have memberships that we sell. It's more, client driven. It's more like employees. So one of our biggest costs right now are actually our employees. But we're lucky that we have a fantastic team, and we've got some who've been working with us from the very beginning. And there are times when certain startups would need to go out and raise funds, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for us personally, we've tried to stay away from an investment as much as possible. I don't know about next year or the year after that, but when you have someone who's investing money, it also comes with a lot of strings. There's a lot of strings attached. So you're not the only decision maker. Someone's putting money in. They obviously would have a say in how you run your business, where you expand, what kind of offers you get on board, which countries you expand into. So Alhamdulillah, as of right now, we do not have an external investor. It's both Mona and myself. And we're doing all right. So we're okay as of right now.
That's amazing. So have you set any guardrails as well, like a burn rate cap or any basically,
I, I
Uh,
can't
yeah,
hear you.
so I'm saying that have you set any guardrails basically, like any burn rate caps or any basically break even benchmarks and all that?
Yeah. So for us, every expense had to contribute to either a clear growth strategy or a retention metric. So these were two things. So either we are looking to spend money on making our customers happier, bringing offers for them that they want, or it has to be leading into some financial, injection. So say, for example, if we are looking, I'll give you an actual example. If we're looking to hire someone new or a person in our marketing division, there is a fee that's attached to that, right? There are salaries that need to be paid. But that salary would need to be offsetted by whatever role she is going to be doing. So if someone's coming in as ad sales, then the assumption there would be we should be making more money than the salary that we're paying out in at least 6 months' time. So obviously, if someone's, starting right now, we give them a 6 months runway. But after 6 months, the salary paid out is literally like salary paying out and money coming in has to at least be higher than what's being paid out. Those are again for direct financial models. For growth strategy or customer retention or soft KPIs, as we say, then we have different scenarios in place at that, like how many stars are we getting, how many great reviews are we getting. So then it gets into non-financial KPIs or, assumptions that we're making.
That's really amazing. So, like when now you are expanding globally as well, and that need another like financial trajectory to expand globally as well. So, according to you, when would be what would be the best time for a startup founder to expand its brand globally? And what are the things with the SupperClub you realize and you realize that now you have to basically go global with it?
I think data is very important. I think you need to be successful in one market, um, and your definition of success only you can define. So for some companies, it could be financial success in one market, and then they want to replicate that in different markets. For certain companies, it's not financial success, it's how much traction you get into one market, and they're not looking at profit making. They're looking at data. We need to get X thousand or X 100,000 users in one market and then we expand. So it really depends on what your internal goals are. So for us, it was a combination of both, where we needed to see and prove that we are successful in one market before we actually launched in other markets. No two markets are the same. Having said that, no two markets are the same. There are different regulations, there are different likes and dislikes in every country, different cities. Even say, for example, Dubai. Dubai and Abu Dhabi, it comes under UAE, but Dubai's metrics are very different to Abu Dhabi metrics. So similarly for Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, Saudi, all these, they're different. They're different countries and they're different buying habits. I think it will go down to what data is important to you. It has to be data driven. It can't be just because, oh my God, I like Singapore. I want to get up and go to Singapore and try to do that. You need to see if it makes sense for your business. You need to do market research there. You need to see what is your competition there. How big is the competition there? If you want to launch in a new market where you're not physically present. So, I am not physically present in this example in Singapore. How will I go about that? Do I need to hire someone on ground? Can I do it virtually? Can I onboard venues, etc.? So there are a lot of things that go into it, but it really truly boils down to what is important to you. And we are a very data-driven company. So all our decisions are data driven. And of course, we have clients. If we are not in a particular market and a client mandates us to go to a particular market, that's the only other scenario that we would do. So either it's our internal data or an external client says, you know what, Mehreen, you guys have done fantastically well in Dubai. Can you replicate it into another market? And that's when we go about doing that.
Exactly. So, like Mehreen, I am also part of a Gen Z, and Gen Z always sees a cool aspect in everything basically, right? So we had a very serious conversation. Now I have a very cool question to ask from you.
Okay, tell
So
me.
if I give you a chance to invite three people on your dinner table, dead or alive, who that will be?
Oh my God. Who would be three people? I want to say one would be Elon Musk. I know he's a little
Okay.
eccentric, but one of them would be him. I want to say there's so many people, there's so many interesting people. I think maybe Jeff Bezos again, because he started literally from one room and it was selling books, etc. It was actually, I don't know if you know, so they would actually sell actual books and look at the global empire that is there. And who would be the third person? Who would be the third person? Um, I think in today's day and age, can I name someone who's not alive?
Yeah, dead or alive, it could be anyone.
Um, I'm trying to think. No, well, let's make it more interesting. Gen Z. Who are the Gen Z people who are the people that you guys follow? So I need to give you some Gen Z answers, right? It's a Gen Z question. So
Yeah.
who are the people that you look up to?
I'm a very old school person, so I like, old kings and queens.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but give me some names. I want to be in the Gen Z cool category, like you just said, right?
Maybe someone a Roman king or basically.
Someone who, sorry, your voice is breaking.
So I'm saying like somebody who's a Roman king or a queen from Alexandria or maybe a king from Mughal emperor or maybe a king from Ottoman.
Actually, no, I'm going to say something very, very non-business related. I would actually want Nusrat Fateh Ali.
Okay, that's an amazing choice. That's an amazing
Yes,
choice.
I love his music. I think he was a genius. It's not a Gen Z answer, But I think that would be such an interesting, because I've read that he used to sleep only 4 to 5 hours
Yeah.
every day. He would not sleep more than 4 hours, 5 hours. So I want to see how he would, because he made amazing music, and music is very close to my heart.
Yeah,
So yeah,
exactly. And like being a startup founder, sleep is your biggest enemy. Because like whenever you are in the full pace of like working on your laptop and then the sudden sleep hits and then your whole flow backdrop, right?
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, so that you're absolutely right.
That's amazing. That would be a very interesting dinner table, by the way, to have
I know.
that.
Imagine,
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mehreen, for coming to Founders Kahani today. I hope you enjoyed our session today, and
I did.
I hope our listeners basically got a lot of knowledge from Mehreen's Kahani and a lot of insights about self funding and starting from basically something that you need to that's your need and you think that that could be turned into a business. And
Yeah.
personally, I learned a lot from this podcast. And even like Marine, I'm gonna from now on I'm gonna basically disturb you more often with more of the questions of my own that I face in my startup founder journey, and I hope you didn't mind that. So
No,
thank
no,
you so
no
much,
problem.
guys, for listening to Founders Kahani's episode today, and I hope you learned a lot from this Kahani. So Allah Hafiz. For the next time, see you with an amazing guest next year. Okay, Allah.
Thank